Thanks, Noe. Aloha. Aloha. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu. We are our beloved community, and we are boldly growing compassion, justice, and joy. Whether in person or online, we are glad to have you here this morning. And I see a couple of the slides. Karen Blasik's here. Harbor Fraser Hodder. Sheila is here. Some other people that I can't see the names clearly enough. Anyway, welcome. Aloha, everybody. Glad that you're with us today. We also have probably with us, either online but in this room, maybe some visitors who have not been here before. Is there anyone willing to stand up and share your name? Let us know who you are. It's okay. It's all good. We see you. We know you're here. Oh, yes, we do have someone. Hi. Greg, Violet, Rio, and Frankie. Welcome. Aloha. Glad to have you here. Someone else? Hi. You said visitor? I'm a resident, but this is my first time. Excellent. Welcome. Mireille, welcome. Glad to have you with us this morning. Thank you so much. Yes?
I'm Alex. I live in Oahu, but this is my first time here.
Hi, Alex. Welcome. Glad to have you here this morning. Anyone else? All right. Well, if this is your first time here, welcome so much. And join us after the service for some refreshments. We'll tell you more about that at the end of the show. What? What am I doing here? At the end of the service. Life is a show, right? Okay, great. So we are so glad to have you here, and I will introduce myself. My name is Crystal Neva, and my pronouns are she or they, and I have the honor of being your worship associate this morning, along with our worship leader, Zac Fraser, for whom I'm really grateful and really looking forward to hearing your message this morning. I'm going to allow Zac to come up right now and just tell us a little bit about himself. I wouldn't be able to do it justice, I'm sure.
Mahalo, Crystal, and aloha kakahiaka. In Olelo o Hawaii, I say e komamai, welcome. And in Arabic, I say, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome to my heart. My name is Zachary Robert Graham Fraser. I'm a 7th generation American. My family settled the lands of the Haudenosaunee, the Fox and Sacs, the Potawatomi, and the Crow people. I was born and raised here in Honolulu, and I grew up in this church. My mother, Catherine Graham, where are you at? A member since 1978 and current vice president of the congregation, took me to my first protest in 2003, a protest against George W. Bush's second Gulf War. My father, Robert Berkeley Fraser, was minister of this church from 1985 to 1995, and he actually voted for George W. Bush twice. But he also cried when watching old westerns, because the depiction of how indigenous people were treated during the settlement and colonization of the continent broke his heart. He used to say, it was so wrong what we did to the Indians. Growing up a UU with UU values, with an extroverted, community-minded mother and a deeply introspective father, I had to learn to balance the external social world with the internal spiritual one. I spent my early 20s on a spiritual walkabout of sorts, wandering the lower 48 and parts of Canada with little more than the clothes on my back. I spent time meeting people from all kinds of backgrounds with a variety of spiritual and political beliefs. And I later found professional fulfillment working in social services. My UU values have served me well in my travels and my professional life. I remember as a child the words that we would speak here together. We are the church of the open mind. We are the church of the helping hands. And we are the church of the loving heart. Since leaving Oahu, I have been arrested, I have been humbled, I have been vindicated, and I have finally come home. Mahalo.
Our chalice lighting this morning, a reminder of what we share by Pat Reby Lichty. The chalice is a symbol of our faith. Like our faith, it is not magic, nor is it mysterious. We light it as a reminder of what we share as a community and of who each of us is called to be. When we feel lost in a chaotic world, may the light of our chalice show us our path. When we are afraid of the times we live in, may the light of our chalice give us courage. When we despair at the injustice and cruelty around us, may the light of our chalice recall us to a faithful hope. Our chalice is a symbol of our commitment to each other and to ourselves, and we light it today as a gathered community that we may understand more completely and act more boldly and hope more fiercely. We will now sing our opening hymn, My Spirit Belongs to the Sky. It's our hymn of the month. And we're going to sing it through twice, and then we're going to kind of allow our children to go up to class in spirit play. And follow Peg upstairs. There she goes.
In his essay, If You Think About It, You Will See That It's True, Lakota Sioux scholar Vine Deloria Jr. asserts the existence of a moral universe. He writes that the primary theological and spiritual interests of the Lakota Sioux people were to find the proper road along which, for the duration of a person's life, individuals were supposed to walk. This is not so different, really, from the theological interests of religions from Western Eurasia, but it is the scientific application of this question that is a departure from the method of inquiry taken by dominant Western scientific pedagogy, which has at its roots a rejection of dogma and theology. Deloria Jr. continues on to say that there is a direction to the universe, empirically exemplified in the physical growth cycles of childhood, youth, and old age, with the corresponding responsibility of every entity to enjoy life, fulfill itself, and increase in wisdom and the spiritual development of personality. Nothing has incidental meaning, and there are no coincidences. He says, we are, in the truest sense possible, creators or co-creators with the higher powers, and what we do has immediate importance for the rest of the universe. Because the universe is alive, there is a choice for all things, and the future is always indeterminate. Consequently, predictions are based on the knowledge of the character of an entity. The living universe requires mutual respect among its members, and this suggests a strong sense of individual identity and self is a dominant characteristic of the world as we know it. In seeking something for ourselves, we must recognize that obtaining what we want at the expense of other forms of life or of the earth itself is short-sighted and disrupts the balance that the whole of life requires. Life is better understood as a tapestry or symphony, with each player holding a specific role to play. So why am I quoting Vine Deloria Jr. as a call to resistance? It's because we must resist the systems of power that deny a living moral universe. We must listen to our hearts, find that specific role that we must play in this resistance. We must respect the individual identity and sense of self that these oppressive systems of power seek to undermine and destroy. And we must resist the disruption of the balance that the whole of life requires. When these systems of power engage in the short-sighted exploitation of life and of the earth itself. The song we will sing together now is a song of resistance. Adapted from a traditional Italian folk tune, Bella Ciao became a song honoring the partisan resistance fighters who violently opposed one of the founding fathers of the fascist ideology, Benito Mussolini. American folk performer Seth Staten Watkins recently wrote a transliteration of this anti-fascist anthem inspired by the actions of ICE here in the United States. Our choir will sing a verse in Italian, and then the rest of the congregation can join in to sing the English version. So please, rise in body or in spirit, rise in resistance for Bella Ciao.
Thank you for that song. It was so good. This church is a place to experience the depth of life together. And this book stands for the lives that we share within our beloved community. This is our book of life. Some of us share our joys and concerns in this book, and others will see the book and realize and know that they can share their joys and their concerns freely here. And they can be shared in the gallery over coffee hour, and they can be shared doing workshops and learning things together, or they can be shared in conversation with our minister, Reverend Deborah Bond Upson, or with other members of our care team. So we can also share our joys and concerns on our website and in our newsletter. So there's lots of ways to share what's happening, and we want to know what's in your heart. So this morning, I will look for some joys. Let's see. Ramona says hi and sends his love to everyone and hopes to be politically active next year. No more war. Thank you. Let's see. Last night we went to UH and the Kennedy Theater to see Panic and the Last Princess. The program was dedicated in part to Norma Nichols, a long ago member of our church. So that was shared by Nan Kleiber. Thank you. The Idelheit Ohana are very pleased to announce. Did I say that right? No. Can you correct?
I recognize it as my name, but it's Adelheit.
Adelheit, so sorry. Ohana. We're very pleased to announce that our daughter Caroline has been hired by Medtronic as a biomedical engineer working on implantable cardiac devices, pacemakers, and defibrillators. Nice. Thank you. That's awesome. So those are joys. So we can just think for a moment that there are a lot of joys in this room, not all said here, not all on our website, but some of them are in our hearts, and we're holding them right now. So I'm going to pass my hand across the congregation. If you'd like to say a word, phrase, or something that comes to mind as a joy, please do. Woohoo! Zach's family's in the front row. Anything else? Okay. And then let's see, we will also see that there are some concerns. And the concern that we have today is that it's Laura Gomez's last day with us. I know there might be some joy in moving to Texas on Tuesday, but you have been such a wonderful member, and I mean, we all just adore you so much. So aloha, oi, Laura. More on that after the service. Yeah. But anyway, there are probably other concerns that you have in your hearts today. I mean, just concerns about changing regulations, and I don't know. There are concerns. So if you have one that you'd like to share out loud, I'm going to pass my hand this way this time, starting over here, and you can just say your concern out loud as I pass. Yeah. I mean, and there are a lot of concerns that we all share, I'm sure, today. And we will just take a moment to acknowledge the bitterness and the sweetness, the concerns and the joys of life. Remind us to live these days together, the brave adventure and holy understanding that we share in this journey echo today, as they always do, in the book of life, and in the hearts that we each bring to share here today. And may it always be so. And now, in the midst of so much suffering in our world, we are fortunate to be able to provide some relief. It is a privilege to give our whole offering today and every Sunday to people and causes who benefit from our loving concern. And this month we have been supporting Hui Mahiai Aina and its Auntie Blanche's. I practiced that before, but I lost it. This is a community-rooted solution to houselessness, and it's a community in Waimanalo that was greatly impacted by the recent storms. And so this month we have been sharing our collection plate with them to help them restore their community and support the people that they've been supporting and continue on with their really important good work. So when the calabash comes by, please help them achieve their goals. And you can check your order of service, and I'm sure there will be a slide too that has a QR code and a text number so that you can share your gifts with us. So let us now give freely and receive with great gratitude. Your gifts help sustain the ministry of this church within these walls and without. Mahalo, Luinoa.
It has been said that humans are the most political animal. This is certainly an anthropocentric sentiment, but as a lifelong Unitarian Universalist who gained at least a passing familiarity with Robert's Rules of Order by the time I was 14, I'm somewhat inclined to agree. Almost everything we do is political. Without the context of specific pedagogies of governments or policies of economics, politics is simply the process observed in group interactions by which those groups make decisions. Now, as someone who's interested in Paleolithic and Neolithic history, I'm struck by a particular paleontological anecdote about Neanderthals and Homo sapiens that I think illustrates our acutely political nature. Contrary to early assessments of Neanderthals, which viewed them as grunting simpletons, many scholars today argue that based on material evidence, like the size of their brain cavities and preserved tools, the average Neanderthal was actually several times more intelligent than the average Homo sapien. However, Homo sapiens were more efficient in areas of language, the communication of new ideas, and the mobilization of communities. In other words, politics. The anecdote goes like this. A community of 100 Neanderthals and 100 Homo sapiens live and fish along the same river. One of these Neanderthals discovers a new way of fishing that allows her to catch more fish while spending less energy. She keeps this information to herself, only teaches a select numbers of others, perhaps her immediate family, who themselves do not widely share this information or this technology with others in their community. After 2 or 3 generations, perhaps 20 out of the 100 Neanderthals are using this new technology. In the community of Homo sapiens, a single person also discovers this new way of fishing, but instead of keeping it to herself, she immediately shares it with her family and her neighbors and their family and their neighbors, who then go on to share it with their families and their neighbors and so on. In the same 2 or 3 generations, 98 out of the 100 Homo sapiens are using this new technology. The community of Homo sapiens soon outpaces the Neanderthals in terms of caloric intake, and therefore productive and reproductive potential. Soon, the Homo sapien community members are sharing this new technology with other communities of Homo sapiens who fish along different rivers. Now, as human beings, we are the youngest species on this planet. We must learn from our non-human siblings how to live in balance with the earth. It is not fangs or claws or fur or scales or strength that gives us our greatest evolutionary advantage. It is communication, community, and politics that give us our greatest evolutionary advantage. All that being said, this sermon will not be a political monologue. By that, I mean that I will not speak explicitly of specific models of governance, either to critique them or to praise them. And this is not because I'm afraid of talking about politics, out of any sense of politeness or anything like that. No. It's just because for the purposes of this sermon, I don't need to. I only need to ask a question. Have you ever wondered if a better world was possible? Perhaps you've wondered in a moment of desperation, exhausted from hours of long labor, only to find that you still struggle to pay for food or shelter or to provide for your loved ones. Perhaps you've wondered in a moment of exhaustion, your energy spent on the fulfillment of others with so little left over for yourself. Perhaps you've wondered in a moment of despair, looking around you or at current events, overwhelmed by the seemingly unending onslaught of ignorance and destruction. Have you ever wondered what a better world would look like? Have you ever wondered if it wouldn't be better if we, as extensions of our divine planet Earth, were ruled not by greed or by hate or by fear or even bitter pragmatism, but by love? Now, do you have faith in your own power to make manifest such a world? Are you brave enough to not only imagine such a world, but to step into yourself, to meet your life, your own existence, and make those imaginings a reality that can be shared by the community of life around you? You may have heard that money makes the world go around, but this is fallacy. The world just goes around. Air, water, soil, energy, these elements are real in a way that systems of power cannot challenge. And while these foundational elements of the universe existed before human life or any system of power that we have devised, And they will persist after our edifices of economics and government are collapsed, overthrown, or withered away. These elements themselves simply persist. They do not resist. Instead, it is we who must resist. But what is resistance? The banner hanging outside of our sanctuary proclaims that joy is an act of resistance. But I wonder if resistance can ever be an act of joy. Joy in the connections that we hold among our fellow human and non-human beings. Can resistance be an act of love? Love for those same human and non-human beings. Love for those who came before and for those who will come after. Can resistance be an act of faith? Faith that a better world is possible. We often talk about the importance of hope. We hope that things will improve. We hope that the war will end. We hope that our parents, our children, and our children's children will live long and fulfilling lives. And hope is vital to our emotional well-being. It's often what gets us through the most difficult times. But hope is different from faith. You see, faith is rooted in more than optimism. It's rooted in belief. A belief in a moral universe. A belief in a living universe. A belief, perhaps even a deep, intrinsic, and intuitive understanding that the universe requires mutual respect among its members. A belief that obtaining what we want at the expense of other forms of life or of the earth itself is short-sighted and disrupts the balance that the whole of life requires. Now, for some, this moral living universe is protected by a higher power. For others, the universe is protected only by those souls who occupy it and the communities that we build. In either case, faith that a better world is possible is a crucial element of resistance. So I ask again, what is resistance? I say that resistance is our duty. Resistance is our obligation. It is our kuleana, our sacred responsibility. But what are we resisting? We are resisting a society that's built on inequity. We are resisting a loss of land, a loss of culture, an oppression of identity, and the control over our bodies. We resist the lies that our rulers tell us, and we resist when they tell us to accept that this is the best there is. Look at the world they've created. They tell us that greed and war are inevitabilities. They tell us that there isn't enough to go around and that we have to be satisfied with scraps. Now that makes me angry. Is anybody else angry about oppression or war or inequality? Yes. Feel that anger. Don't shy away from it. As someone who's been very angry for a very long time, I've worked hard to dig deep and understand the root of my anger. Anger is seen as a negative emotion, a destructive feeling, and it's true that anger can be alienating. We must be cautious that our anger does not harm our own communities. I think of the words of Malcolm X, who, when speaking of the opposition of white supremacy and racism, said something along the lines of, "My enemy is not the white man that I see in the streets. My enemy is the white man that I don't see." What he meant is that we waste our anger on individuals when we should save that righteous indignation for systems and institutions of power. I often paraphrased these words when working at a day center for people experiencing houselessness in Portland, Oregon. The first time I found myself doing so was when an indigenous man came in towards the end of the day, very, very angry. He started yelling at some of the black folks who who were also in there receiving services. And he was saying things like, you were given your freedom, but my people still haven't been given their land back. So I had to step in, and I had to say, listen, I know we're all hurt and angry. You've been robbed of what you're entitled to as a human being. But no one in here is your enemy. Anger can be scary and alienating, but resistance is not about anger. Anger is just a defense mechanism. When we feel angry, we must ask ourselves, what is it that we love that we feel we must defend? What is it that we love that feels under attack? So I ask you to feel that anger, but follow it to love. Feel that love and follow it to faith. Faith that a better world is not only possible, but it is inevitable. It is inevitable because we resist and because we will win. Mahalo nui loa.
Please join in body and spirit to sing a rousing version of If I Had a Hammer by Pete Seeger and Lee Hayes. Well, I have a reading in Loving and Responsible Action by Robert F. Kaufman. We have come together to share our deepest concerns, speaking and singing words of inspiration and hope. We have committed ourselves to do what we can to ease the burdens of those who suffer, to stand for decency and compassion. We have pledged to work for a more wholesome environment for us and for all the generations that will follow. But these are just words. The hymns we sing are just songs. All of our reflections are just thoughts. So when we convert them all into loving and responsible action throughout the week, then and only then will this morning become what we want it to be, a time of worship. Thanks so much for your message this morning. I have some announcements. So to begin, I'd like to bring up the Ministerial Relations Committee because they have a little bit of words to share with us.
Good morning. I'm Carla. I'm here with Gabe and Nan. And together we are your Ministerial Relations Committee. And we have the great fortune to work with our minister, Reverend Deborah Bond Upson. And we get to meet regularly with her and hear what she's working on. And we act as a sounding board, share ideas, we discuss possibilities, and sometimes give our input. So today, we're here to give you a heads up about the ministerial survey that's headed to church members via email this week.
The survey asks you to rate the performance of our minister, Reverend Deborah Bon Upson, in 5 key areas. Whether you have worked with her a lot or a little, your responses are valuable. For questions relating to areas you have experienced, you check the point on the scale that applies. If there's a question that's outside your experience with her, you can check not observed. The survey also asks for your suggestions, ideas, and recommendations.
The online form is designed to be very simple and easy. So easy you could do it with your eyes closed, but we'd like for you to be coherent. There are instructions included. We'll have paper copies next week, Sunday, if you prefer paper surveys. The survey form asks for your name and your email address, and the deadline for completion is Sunday, May 17th. The reason why we attach your name and email address is you to sign on to the site, and that form is very familiar. It's the same format that we used when the search committee were looking for a minister. Ta-da, we found Deborah. So now it's time to put your report card together, put your manao, your thoughts, opinions. We strongly encourage everyone to complete the survey when you receive it. And for the first 50 surveys we receive, you'll receive a personal hug from the ministerial team. I'm a hugger, she's a hugger too. All right? So if you have any questions, we will be available at the end of the service, or Carla will be in travel. So if you have any questions during the process, you can contact Nan and myself. Your travel dates?
I'll be here next Sunday, and then I'm gone for a couple. Janice, do you have a quick question?
The answers are confidential, right? Even though our name is on there.
Yeah, we're not going to quote anything you say, but it is not an anonymous survey. We want everybody to be very thoughtful and give their true impressions and everything. So, yeah, we won't quote you, Janice, unless you want to be quoted.
And the reasons why your names are there, in case we need to follow up, in case somebody hasn't turned in their form, we'd like to make a follow-up and make sure the person do indeed. Very important venture, and we appreciate all of you for being here today. Pass the word on. The surveys are here via email. Next Sunday, hard copies for you all to look at. Take your time. The deadline is May 17th. Thank you all.
Okay. We have a few more announcements. Deborah, do you want to come up?
Now, this doesn't have anything to do with that evaluation. But Laura, sitting there with your son Xander, I beg your indulgence. She doesn't like to get attention. Of all the Aina, fauna, flora, who do we love but our dear Laura? I speak of the best of womans. I speak now of Laura Gomans. When we must meet, Laura is there, always smart, wise, and fair. When church requires a Costco run, Laura treats it as if it's fun. When moments call for heart and mind, Laura's presence is strong and kind. One day, she shared news to vex us. She said she would move to Texas. Laura and your loved ones should make us glad. We should not be distressed and sad, not be selfish, glum, or shady about this beloved UU lady. So instead, come eat some cake while we try to happiness fake. Instead of sour grapes or phooey, Laura, we say aloha nui. Now, oh, you're going to play something? Aloha. Thank you, Noe. I have a second announcement. Have you heard that life is short, so eat dessert first? So Laura's cake will be served along with coffee, tea, water, and other treats and sweets. And you can go to the gallery and gather your sweets and greet each other. And bento boxes will await in the sanctuary for those staying for our community talk story. Now, my mom would advise you can have your cake and eat it too, but best to eat the bento box first. So you might want to bring your cake in here and eat it after your bento box, but we're a Unitarian Universalist, so we'll go any way you want. We want to just ask you to please join us. We have several people representing groups, UU Honolulu, but other groups as well. And we're going to gather after the gallery refreshments to share what may we do to realize the resistance, the loving resistance that's required to meet our day. Thank you. I hope you'll join us. No reservations necessary.
Stick around, everybody. Okay, good. I've got a couple more. One is, if you have not turned in your pledge for this coming year, please talk to Catherine Graham. She will like to get that on record. We're doing well to meet our goal, but not quite there yet, so love to hear from you. Also, tomorrow night is a PFLAG meeting here at 6 p.m. in the gallery. And finally, next Sunday, please join us next week. Worship will be led by our UU partner, Reverend Samantha Wilson, and she will be leading a service entitled From Right to Related, Reimagining Empathy, which will be a continuation of our work where we've been examining our history as a congregation. And she asks, how does this work impact our individual lives as well as the life of our community? And as we live in these tumultuous times, we wonder, how can new ways of being in community impact not only us and our church community, but actually ripple out into the world beyond? So really, it's all just a continuation of these themes of being together and sharing wisdom and kindness. Want to give us a benediction?
So I want to close out today just speaking a little bit more about resistance, and we're going to extinguish our chalice together. So resistance is not negative. Resistance is positive. Resistance is respecting, and resistance is about protecting what we love, because resistance is that stubborn, steadfast love. If we could all say these words together. We extinguish this chalice, but not the fire of resistance within our hearts. Resistance is an act of resilience, is an act of imagination. Resistance is an act of bravery. Resistance is an act of love. Resistance is an act of faith. And now stand, embody your spirit. Join hands, please, with your neighbors, and join us in Hawaii Aloha.